Hi, this is Rhonda Shear, and you're staying up all night or day with TV Confidential.
I'm Guy Lafleur.
I'm Darryl Sittler.
And I use a Darryl Sittler hockey stick.
I use a Guy Lafleur hockey stick. Hey, Guy, how about some cornerbacks, eh?
All right, sure thing, Darryl. Oh, boy, I bet these are good, huh?
Oh,
Got
yeah.
real malt flavor.
Smells good, too. Well, I can't do these things. I'm sorry. They're hard on my gums.
Ed Robertson with a reminder that the next edition of TV Confidential will premiere next week on this station at the usual time. Please join us as we welcome back actress and author Louise Sorel. In the meantime, on the line with us right now is Paul Myers. Paul's latest book, John Candy, A Life in Comedy, takes a deep dive into the life and times of the much-loved actor and comedian who captivated audiences with the self-deprecating humor, emotional warmth, and gift for improvisation. John Candy, A Life in Comedy, available wherever books are sold through House of Anansi Books, houseofanansi.com, as well as Amazon.com. Paul has several appearances coming up both in the U.S. and in Canada over the next several weeks. For details and more information, go to houseofanansi.com, type in John Candy, A Life in Comedy book tour. Two things. One of the fun things of reading John Candy, A Life in Comedy, in the age of smartphones and 24/7 internet, is that you can whip out your phone and you can look up like Joe Flaherty, John Candy, Weebelix commercial. I had never seen that before. I found it on YouTube as I was reading your book, Paul. I watched that segment like 5 times in a row because I just loved it. I'd never seen it before. It's hilarious each time I watched it. So if there are things about John that you've never seen, it's part of the enjoyment of your book is what I'm saying. That's more of a comment than a question. But
I know that, but I will say thank you. And I found the same thing to be true, and it's actually changed the way I read other books now, too. Like, I'm a big Beatle book guy, and I read a lot of Beatle books. And so in the middle of a description of something, I'll go look up the song, you know, and that's the beautiful thing about random access multimedia right now. But I will say this. While I'm researching the book, I'm also doing that.
yes.
Who is it? Ron James is a Toronto actor who I love, a comedian, good friend of mine actually. He was talking about a pilot that he was involved with that Dave Thomas had also mentioned. It was a TV show pilot, and John Candy did a guest appearance to help him out, right? Like to lend his John Candy-ness to the TV pilot. The show never got picked up, but the YouTube of it does. So I can't remember the name of it right here, but there's this project that you can actually watch this, and there's also an NBC pilot for a show with John Candy as a traveling like road guy going to different festivals, and it was at one time rumored to be, if they had to cancel Saturday Night Live, they were going to throw this show on instead, and it was like a youth-oriented road trip show where they take this Winnebago across the country and go to different parties and stuff. And John Candy was supposed to be they wanted him to be the host, so they did a pilot. You can find the pilot online now, because everybody throws this stuff in, copyright be damned, stuff is available. And that's the beauty of that, is, I can spend hours down rabbit holes on YouTube, and the problem with me, going back to the start when I mentioned I had ADHD, which is diagnosed, by the way, medically diagnosed ADHD, which I cope with, and I've actually gotten better at systems, and I can tell you, it actually can help you. But the one thing I do have to say is stay on message when I'm going down the rabbit hole. If the Joe Flaherty, John Candy clip takes you to a Joe Flaherty, Eugene Levy clip, you can't spend the rest of your day going down the other road.
Yes, exactly. And that's one of the reasons why I'm only 2/3 of the way through your book, Paul, because I kept discovering things about John or Joe or Dave that I hadn't seen before. And so that, it added to the enjoyment of reading your book, but it took me away from reading your book momentarily several times.
Also, you can go rent most of the movies now, so you might not have seen Once Upon a Crime.
Yeah.
It didn't do as well at the box office. You might not have seen Delirious, the film John Candy made, which I think is actually if that had just been a TV movie, it would have been considered a hit. If it had been like an HBO film or something. But they didn't have that in those days. Like I said, these had to be big box office films or they were considered flops. But you could have made a small streaming version of those films, and they would have been everybody's favorite Netflix film. It would have. Anyway, my point is now you can find those. Most of those videos are available. Those movies are available to actually rent properly. And certainly they're probably bootlegged as well. But you can actually stream. You can stream most John Candy films. I still haven't found one of them. I can't remember which one it was, but I remember looking for hours trying to find it. Oh, it was one of the early Canadian ones, The Clown Murder.
Yes.
I didn't get to see it. I've seen clips of it though.
Yeah, which if I remember correctly, because I think there's a quote you have of him talking about the Clown Murders where he's not particularly proud of the movie, but we'll let the readers discover that for themselves when they pick up a copy of John Candy, A Life in Comedy, houseofanansi.com. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back. One more item. If you're starting a company, particularly one that is in an emerging market, you know that averting any sort of legal dispute is crucial to your business plan. Our friends at Tectonic Law offer an array of services that can help you avoid and preempt future litigation while also developing and protecting your intellectual property and intangible assets. Tectonic Law serves the needs of a host of emerging industries throughout California and beyond, including industrial designers, beverage makers, artists, farmers, retail stores, health practitioners, wellness experts, cosmetics manufacturers, nonprofit organizations, innovators in sustainable practices, and libraries. Go to tectoniclaw.com to learn more about how Tectonic Law can help your business thrive. tectoniclaw.com. Rock solid representation for groundbreaking industries.
This portion of TV Confidential is brought to us by our friends at Front Porch Realty, the community of realtors in the Northern Bay Area of California that is committed to finding the solution that is best for their clients. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or looking to sell or lease your property in Northern California, call Karen Strain at 415-886-7411 or visit frontporchrealtygroup.com for more information on how they can help you.
Ed Robertson, thanking you for listening to the TV Confidential podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit the subscribe button so that you won't miss our next episode.
Hi, this is Harry Shearer, and you are listening to TV Confidential, a radio show about television.
You want to hurt me? Go right ahead if it makes you feel any better. I'm an easy target. Yeah, you're right. I talk too much. I also listen too much. I could be a cold-hearted cynic like you. But I don't like to hurt people's feelings. Well, you think what you want about me. I'm not changing. I like me. My wife likes me. My customers like me. Because I'm the real article. What you see is what you get.
Final question for now. There are at least two life imitate art moments in the film career of John Candy. One we talked about a little bit. Well, we talked about Stripes a little bit earlier, but Ox's motivation for joining the Marines is based, at least it mirrors something that really happened in John's life, as well as the I Like Me monologue / soliloquy in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you're absolutely right. So when John was very young, he was frustrated with his body type, and for some reason thought joining the American Marines would actually help him. So he drove all the way down from Toronto to Buffalo, or actually it wasn't Buffalo, it was Paris Island in the States, and they somehow thought they could join the. By the way, the Vietnam War was still a hot thing, and so it was a very ill-advised thing, and several people tried to talk him out of it, but he thought, I'll go down there, boot camp will strengthen me up. Sure enough, years later, not even based on any knowledge of this, the screenplay for Stripes has that speech where he says, I want to be a lean fighting machine. And that, so his Ox character wanted to improve his chances with ladies by slimming down and getting tough. Now, then you mentioned the other thing, the I Like Me speech. This is a great example of a sort of theory that I came up with based on my research, and it's in the book, is nobody understood John Candy as well as John Hughes. Mm-hmm. John Hughes saw something in John Candy that he identified with, but he also just empathized with John Candy as a dignified man in an who had been often portrayed in an undignified light. And he gave the speech. John brought warmth, humanity, and dignity to all the roles he played. But thankfully, the role of Del Griffith in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles had dignity, had quiet dignity, even when, Neil Page, played by Steve Martin, even when he appears to have disdain for him all the way through it, it facilitates that big moment where John makes that speech that could have been his own words.
Yeah.
Like, my wife likes me, my clients like me. I might not be slick, I might not be that, but you know what? I like me. And I don't think anyone could watch that film, that scene, without thinking, this is John Candy talking to me.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you a funny little side note about that speech. It's the title of the first chapter, the introduction of the book, because I wanted you to hear that right away, right? And at one point, I had a chalkboard with a bunch of different titles for the book. I was going to call it "I Like Me," and then to me, while Ryan Reynolds and Colin Hanks were working on the film that is coming out around the same time, and again, we did not communicate during the film. I tried. I made inquiries. I was hoping, but I think they thought maybe they didn't need me, and I felt like I would like to hear from them about their film, but I understood they're putting their, it was a family project. There's all sorts of reasons, and I have nothing but support for their film because it's a companion piece.
Yes.
But let me say this: so their film announced that their film's going to be called "I Like Me," and of course, I'm like, whoa, glad I didn't name my book that. and secondly, of course it's called "I Like Me." There's, and I made a joke the other day, and I think I can make this joke without it seeming too weird. I didn't put a photo section in our book, and because sometimes it's hard to narrow down, and you have to like all these pictures. And I thought I'm going to let the text tell the story, but then you can look at the pictures in the Colin Hanks film "I Like Me" that is going to be streaming soon. So you can just read my book like you were saying, read the book, and then maybe watch the film and see the people.
Yeah.
But I like the idea that, much like going back to Stephen King, I'm telling you a storybook story about John Candy. It's not fake. It's a true story, as true as we can make it. And but then your mind will tell the story of in your. That's what reading is, right? Reading is about you reading it and going, I see that, and then you can watch the documentary and see that too. So I'm happy that the zeitgeist, and that's what they call it, the broader zeitgeist is saying now is the time, on John Candy's 75th birthday, had he lived, and he should have, this is the time to celebrate John Candy as somebody we don't have. We need people like that.
We do.
Now, we need heroes. As Ryan Reynolds himself said, I heard in the other day, he said that John Candy was good even when nobody was looking.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I'm glad Ryan Reynolds is making that film, because that is a guy who gets it too, And Colin Hanks is a great filmmaker. I love several of his other films and his documentaries, and I couldn't be happier that we're all at the same party celebrating John Candy.
Well, you talked to his dad for the book, so that's good.
What's that?
No, I was going to say you talked to Colin's dad for the book, so that's good.
And by the way, Tom Hanks, one of my favorite interviews of all time is the full interview with Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks was so you expect a guy like that, as famous as he is, to give you like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But he gave me, I think it was about an hour and a half, and he was loquacious and just telling me all kinds of great personal stories, and really, and then Rita Wilson also ended up like joining in, because she had stories to tell too, because they were in the film Volunteers together. That's where Tom Hanks met Rita Wilson. So they all had great memories. So for me, and Ron Howard called me from the street of London while he was doing an edit on another film. He said, I've got like 25 minutes. I'm walking through Soho, and I wanted to make sure I told you the story of Splash. It was like, I'm like, how exciting as a fan to be chatting with all these legends who want to tell me their John story.
What are you working on next, Paul?
You know what? I can't say.
Okay.
It's something that we're at the place now where the shape of the book hasn't quite been settled and the contract hasn't been signed, but we're on something. Yeah, there's definitely something in the works.
Well, I hope this is not the last time I talk to you. I've really enjoyed our conversation. I really enjoy John Candy, A Life in Comedy, and I love the fact that you're that you have deep roots in the San Francisco Bay Area. So,
well, I live 4 blocks from John Fogerty's ancestral home.
Right.
That says something right there. Anyway, well, thank you so much for your generous comments about my work in the book, and I really love talking about this stuff, and it's great to talk to you.
John Candy, A Life in Comedy by Paul Myers, available wherever books are sold through House of Anansi Books, houseofanansi.com, as well as Amazon.com. Paul has several appearances coming up both in the U.S. and in Canada over the next several weeks. For details and more information, houseofanansi.com. Type in John Candy, A Life in Comedy Book Tour. Ed Robertson, Beth Tony Figueroa, and Donna Allen, Phil Grice, and Susan Silver. Thank you so much for listening. Stay healthy, stay safe. We'll talk to you next time on TV Confidential.